Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings, FedEx, St. Jude Championship. Almost said classic, but it's not. It's a championship. It's the first leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. We're talking through the final bets, the one and done, the weather, and of course, the DraftKings strategy for a limited field with no cut. It's one of the last decent ones. I mean, it is really. Tambo's here from shipitnation.com. It's the last, good one of the year, DraftKings-wise.
Yeah, there's good contests. DraftKings has great contests up this week, actually. I think, at least, from what we've seen lately, some good, a $5 that's nice, $20 that's nice, the
Dude,
222
they
mega.
can put on 3 millionaire makers for the Tour Championship, and it'd still be a shitty week of DraftKings.
That's true, sure. I'm just saying, when you have 70 guys, yes, it's better than when we get down to the 30 for the Tour Championship, but next week they do have the Mega Milli Maker for $44.44. I have 2 tickets, so I have to get excited for next week as well. But I'm more excited for the DraftKings side of things than I am for these actual events. And we talked a little bit about that pre-show, and just like I said, I just don't see the excitement in these. I know it's, the majors are the excitement. I asked the question on Twitter yesterday. People had the same answer. We know that. But I don't know, Pat. Well, I was curious your thoughts on it. What is it? Is it the elevated events? Is it what's causing this? Because I know Feinberg has felt this way for a while and talked about it openly on Twitter. Kenny mentioned it too on Monday with me, and then I brought it up. But what's your thoughts?
I don't know if it's fixable, to tell you the truth. What is fixable is filling the Listeners League, by the way. There's 400 spots left as of right now. It's the last one of the year to get your hands on some rake-free guaranteed money, so go fill it up. Link in the description. The Week 1 contest for NFL is already live as well. I'm going to try to work on an opening night showdown contest, Listeners League.
Listener League for
How
showdown? Perfect.
How many people do you think I should make that?
What's your Week 1 contest?
5,000.
Maybe go 2,500 or 3,000.
Maybe even an exclusive 1,000 or something.
Oh, that'd
like
be
that.
filled quick, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. People always ask me, it's why do you bump it down from 3,000 to 2,500? Because I do find myself sometimes, if it's 4,000, 3,500, 3,000, begging people to join on a Wednesday night. When it's 2,500 or 2,000, never happens.
Yeah,
people
also,
and it fills so quickly that
Yeah.
they're like, hey, make it bigger. Then you make it bigger, then people lose the urgency to come join.
Yeah, Week 1 NFL, though, the first Island game, ready to rock for the season. I think it's Detroit at Kansas City. It's going to be a good one. So, yeah, I would definitely load that up.
There's a Justin and myself at Run the Sims ended up running this data bowl contest about people developing new either models or strategies for NFL Showdown, and he just released the winners. I linked it in my Twitter profile. I'll throw it in the newsletter. Sub to that down in the description. By the way, it'll come out on Wednesday evening. But they're actually really interesting. People are serious about playing Showdown.
Yeah.
About how not to get your lineups duped, that kind of thing. And we have some new tools coming out at Run the Sims as well. I see a lot of people. We have 10,000 simulations that are customizable to make your lineups, and I see a lot of these other sites have the tournament simulators. Mm-hmm. I think we're just going to have that too.
Okay, yeah,
So we'll have both.
Add it on. But people had said that obviously you can figure that out. People have been doing that for years now, that just are behind the scenes, that know Python and are building it out and setting it up that way. But the Run the Sim stuff is just incredible. I love the game of Showdown. Like I said, many people do. That's why they're creating tools and stuff for it. But there's just a lot to it. The game theory, there's just different ways to play it, all kinds of angles that you can take in to try and find the most unique lineup without, duping it too many times, at least, even if you are going to be duped. But for me, it's just the great game. It's on the island games, way to get your money in, and just a lot of fun.
So FedEx Cup fixes. I think there's one solution that I don't even know fixes it, whether or not. I think that, and Paul made a good point about this when we were talking about this before the show, that we're covering this every week. I cover golf 7 days a week during golf season. That means basically from waste management through the end of this month before football starts. There's going to be burnout eventually, especially now because of the elevated events, that there was some sort of cachet to the FedEx Cup playoffs, at least initially, because this is a major-esque field. We haven't seen one of these since the Open Championship. Everyone's back together, but we've seen this tournament 20 fucking times this year.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So that hurts. I like this course. I wish this was more in the regular rotation, but if the majors are going to be the sticking point to everything, I just don't see this is the FedEx Cup is basically bankrupting along with the elevated events, the PGA anyway.
Yeah.
Like, the fans don't care about the $40 million. It could be 50 cents. Like, it
that's what
doesn't
I was
move the
gonna
needle
say.
for anyone.
That's what I was gonna say. So everyone talks shit about Live. Like, to me, this I'm not burnt out at all of the content. I'm actually getting ramped up. NFL's coming. It's gonna be the busiest time of the year for all of us doing content. I love the DFS game theory angles going through the show.
That's
gonna
not
be
the point.
awesome.
That's not the point, though. Like, for the Valspar Championship, you might tune into that. Let's say you missed your deadline to get DraftKings lineups in, whatever. There's a chance you still turn it on because you like golf.
Sure.
There's no chance you're turning on the BMW Championship next week if you have no money on the line.
Yeah, unless I have the sweat. And that's, that's the part. That's what I'm saying. It's more my fandom than my actual burnout or content. I'm not saying it's against that, just saying in general. My thing is, I don't know what the fix would be. But like you said, I like this course. There's great players out there, but no one cares that they're playing for this big purse. Like, that becomes the live factor where people are like, oh, it's just all exhibitions for big money. It's not worth anything. It's worth a lot to these guys. There's life-changing opportunities out there for the players. I'm saying as a fan, the fans have not got behind this concept. The definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. No one likes this shit. It sucks. I don't care what you do. Try something different and just see if it works. That's all, right?
I can only remember 2 playoff events, I think, ever that I've really... I mean, I cared about last year.
Sure, so did I. I was Willie Z Destiny. I was
well,
there.
it was Willie Z Destiny week. That was fun.
Yes.
And it's not like we're not going to turn on the tournament. It's not going to be good. If it's close, it's going to be good. But I vividly remember, it's funny because BMW Championship is next week at Olympia Fields. That year, for the BMW Championship, when Rahm stormed back to meet DJ in the playoff, made that huge putt. For whatever reason, that just sticks out of my mind. That was very compelling television. And Tiger when he won the Tour Championship.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, this is me right now. If we get those types of results, that can change everything. Obviously, I'm excited. Big golf fan, want to watch do this for a living. This is what I'm saying. But in general, I said this too. I don't think it would have mattered if Scott. I know everyone's saying like someone else said this, and I thought it was a good point. Harmon, Lee Hodges, Lucas Glover coming in sucks the juice a little bit out of it, but they all played well. They all did their job. It's what they're supposed to do. I'm saying I honestly don't think if it went Scotty finally finds a putter at the Open, Finau gets the job done at the 3M Open, back to back.
And Justin Thomas wins.
And JT, I mean, that would have been at least maybe a little juice because they were really trying to pump up anything he did. But even if it was Henley closed the door on what you thought he was going to finally do last week and then didn't, again, unfortunately down the stretch, I just don't think to pump up to what? Like we get to the same dead end is what I'm saying every single season. So I don't know. It's tough. I don't have the fix either, so it makes it challenging to kind of complain about it or poo-poo on it. But I'm saying in general, it's just when something's not working, I don't know why they continue on with it.
I guess the ratings are good enough for FedEx that they get the... I mean, it's not only this weekend of the ratings that pump up FedEx, although I'm pretty sure people know what FedEx is at this point.
I think so when they started advertising it on week 1.
Yes.
And trying to tell you who's leading the FedEx Cup standings when its first event's over. Thank you.
And that's a part of it as well.
Yeah.
That they get the season long. I saw they were like the Aeon Rewards thing. I still have no idea what that is.
Oh, the best one was last week. I forget. And you're right. It was like
I saw Wiley tweeted out that Hatton was going to win, I think, the Aeon Rewards unless Steven Yeager made an eagle. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, which is honestly hilarious because you run this whole promo all season that everyone says, like us included, make fun of it, don't give a shit about this, who cares? Then you get this like crowning moment of this program where if Yeager makes eagle on 15, he wins $1 million. If not, Hatton wins it. I swear to God, I mean, it's for $1 million. Hatton should be on that screen on a video call from wherever he is in England, sweating it while we're watching the Yeager. Like, they just suck at content. So bad. Like, just do that. Dial it in. It's $1 million. And if you want people to understand what this thing is or care, I just know that they don't care. Maybe that's the marketing side of it. They just don't give a shit. And they're like, we'll just run this. We have to run it because our promo and our sponsorship deal equals this. So we'll just do it. But they didn't even show the shot. Like, they didn't even, nothing mattered. It was nothing. Thanks for letting us know. We appreciate it. Congrats, Hatton.
So now we're at a point where there's no match play on the schedule. And Jeff has kind of hammered home. I think that's the easiest solution. But there is the tricky thing about match play. It sucks.
People hate it. I know. That's what's funny. It always comes up as if we just did this. And I've said it before, too. I kind of like it, but not everybody does. So then it becomes, well, I don't give a shit about that either. And that's why, like you said, I don't know what the fix is if it's with, like, the schedule change. Like, again, the PGA Championship, it has nothing to do with the PGA, by the way, PGA of America, but I'm saying, like, if they put, that used to be at the end and you kind of had something in, the Open didn't do it, and the Open was the closest thing, and it's just one of those things. It just runs off and all goes up, what shit rolls downhill. Well, that's what's happening here.
Well, I mean, it could just be the fact that it's in August, too, and that people are just wanting to enjoy their summer. And especially a lot of people who are PGA fans are also big NFL fans or college football fans, whatever it might be.
It's true.
That's starting very soon. That maybe there is no solution to this, that people just are always going to be burnt out by this part of the season because it doesn't mean as much as the Open Championship. To win the Claret Jug, and no one cares about the amount of money they give to the winner of the Open Championship. Mm-hmm. They care about the person who wins because it's historic and they win the Claret Jug. You can give them $100 million if they won the tour championship. No one's going to fucking care.
It's just not historic. He says it's not. There's not that buzz to it, and that's just part of
But
it. But
I think the best solution to all of this, and I want to hear people's, if you do have like good ideas, solutions, unique ideas, it's a good time to test them out, I suppose. Put those in the comment section after you smash the like as well to this episode. But cut it down to the top 30. I'm good with that. Play 2 days. And you can even do the staggered starts if you want to reward the people that have done well in the FedEx Cup. Have a cut after 2 days to the final 16, to the final 16 people, wherever they're at on the leaderboard. Those are now your seeds for Saturday and Sunday. You play 2 matches a day, match play to end it. And then you actually get full golf all day, and each of the positions pays something. So you go into Saturday would be like 1 versus 16, single elimination, 2 versus 15, and then you wrap around again. Actually, you can probably just, you wrap around again to play that, and then the winners move on to Sunday. Even the losers move on to Sunday, and then you play for like the upper bracket and the lower bracket, and like winner gets 40 million, second place gets 20 million, third place gets 15 million, and even eighth place, like 7th versus 8th would be a difference of like $3 million or something like that. Then you basically have a $3 million cash game on your hand, even for guys that are out of it.
one thing I would say to add to that someone did, I forgot who brought this up. I apologize to you, but it was a good point. They said what you should do, again, they're bad at content. Let the seed it out, and if Scotty's the number 1 seed, he gets to pick from a pool who he plays. Like, talk that shit. Like, I'll beat you. I want to play you because and he has to tell you why. Why'd you pick him? They get the content in there quick. Go, oh, why are you picking him? Well, I think my game sets up better because this. And then the other dude gets fired up and starts talking shit to him, and you get like the match style set up where you bring on again players that didn't make it. By the way, JT didn't make the playoffs. Come on back, do a little telecast for us. Get your name out there. It's good for your brand. You can talk that shit too in the booth. Again, I just think it's better content. But if you did that, it would be more like we want rivalry. Someone else said this. All those live guys going away were the heart and soul of the rivalries and the actual personalities. Well, what forces Scotty to get a personality? Then, Scotty, I know you're a guy and laughing it out, but you got to pick someone you want to play and tell me why you're beating up on them and think you're going to play them as the number 1 seed and they become now the 16 in that example or whatever, and tell me why. And that would be awesome content. I would love to see that.
It might be awesome content. I think reality TV has warped our brains a little bit because what you're describing is exactly what happens on the challenge.
Yeah.
Like, why'd you pick him? Why'd you do it? That kind of thing.
It could be too forced, you're right? But I'm saying at least then it could create something, or you could get an actual rivalry out of it as they're battling down the stretch, getting them to talk something back and forth. If they were going that way, I just think it's a better way of doing it than playing the seed that you land on, because then it just becomes, it's the boring match play again. Try and spice it up. Maybe it won't work, but try it. That's all my point.
Yeah, try something that goes along with it. Like I said, I like the idea of playing 36 holes, having a cut, then playing match play 2 a day the rest of the day for egregious amounts of money.
Big money then, yeah.
And then there's like, hey, this is a $4 million putt. It's
and
like,
load that shit up on the screen. Like, let us know. What is this for? Get the people at home being like, oh man, this guy's playing for $2 million right now, like on this putt. And just see if you can do something different. Again, people probably have better ideas. I just thought it was something to talk about. We can move on.
Okay, let's get to the final betting card for this week. I played 4 guys. I was going to just bet Rom and go on with it. Then I decided not to do that because, I don't win. So I'm going to take
play him in DraftKings.
Yeah, I'll play him on DraftKings. I'll do whatever. But, I love to lose money betting. So instead I bet on guys who never win. I have Hatton at 27. Morikawa at 28.
Knew you'd have him.
Fleetwood at 33. And Sam Burns at 45. Why am I betting Tommy Fleetwood? I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I bet him once this year, and he lost in a playoff in Canada.
So you have a good history with him, it's just not a good end result. But it wasn't like he didn't give you he gave you a sweat.
He most definitely gave me a sweat, and sometimes that's all you want.
He thought he was making that putt, but Nick Taylor was back there draining it, and he's like, I guess I don't need to see where the line of that ball goes. So
yeah, and
over.
I bet JJ Spawn first round leader as well at 70 to 1.
Oh, that's the play
with the top 5
right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wrote him up in the Golf Digest column. He was like my dark horse winner, and I do have like $10 on him to win, but.
You still got to. I was gonna say you got to have that out. He's gonna come like 6. He'll be T6 after day 1 and then go on to win somehow.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he'll work in reverse of what
bet him
normally
first round
happens.
leader, but didn't bet him outright.
Because I wrote it up, I always play every bet that I do write up, even if I'm not going hard at it like I normally would. But I even put in that description like he's probably a better first round leader bet than outlasting these guys all 4 rounds.
Yep.
He might even be a good first-round leader bet. He's probably just a better first-round leader bet than an outright winner bet. So in the cheat sheet in the newsletter, it'll just say first-round leader. But like I said, I have a little on the outright sprinkle. Probably wouldn't recommend that.
You got room for it with that card. I like the card. I like Hatton. We'll get to it. But also, Any thoughts on Cam Young? You didn't have him. I think he started the week at a 50.
No, thank you.
And then rolled down.
Burns did the same thing. Like I caught Burns at 45. I think he's down to 30 now.
I got Ann at 75, and then he's down to 50-ish.
You really think Ben Ann's going to win this tournament?
No, I like the each way, though.
Okay.
It's a fair each way. And he's playing better. I mean, he's definitely playing good right now. I think he sets up well, just an example. But, yeah, there wasn't much else out there. I bet the Putnam at 125. I think some got 150. Again, better each way, but I like at these numbers, I'll take it. Kind of set up well for everything I looked at. So
Yeah, I like Putnam as well. I could potentially add him to the first-round leader list.
makes sense for that more so. He looks like he's getting very popular in the sense of like double digits in that bottom 6K range. So it's like that would worry me because just everybody's the same dude down there for the most part. You could make your case for him about his history here, but it doesn't really matter. It's 1 week of golf. It's a no-cut event. It's just so much on the line. Everything can change in a heartbeat. So
Oh, for sure. One and done. I have Burns. Jeff has Win DC. Cust is taking Ricky Fowler. I think unless one of us wins this tournament, unless Sam Burns wins this tournament, I think Cust locks up the one and done in our 3-man for the year. So that's no fun.
wow, U.S. Open specialist and now one and done specialist
And one
as well?
and done specialist. Yeah. It's been a big year for him. I think the gods are treating him well, which usually means NFL season's going to be a real kick in the teeth for him.
Which means great for everybody else because we're going to get wonderful content from Cust.
And we have that starting next week. I actually have a Cust Corner coming out tomorrow. I think it's still like a 3-hour final best of last season. Cust Dream Home, which is
Is it going to be when he's like telling you how much Aaron Rodgers is shit, and now it's like the opposite? Like Cuss said this, now he says this.
Well, we have that. We recorded the kickoff that we do every year with me, Jeff, and Tim of the ranking the best quarterbacks in the NFL for a 2-year period. Like, who would you want as your quarterback? And somehow, miraculously, Aaron Rodgers has vaulted up Tim's list after he won the MVP the second time. Didn't crack Cuss top 10, but now. He's really feeling Aaron Rodgers being good.
Funny how that works.
He also hates Sean Payton because he was mean to Nathaniel Hackett. And then we found a clip of Tim just eviscerating Nathaniel Hackett.
Oh gosh, this is gonna be good.
So it's pretty decent. Weather-wise, what are you seeing? You see a bit of rain on Thursday morning?
Yeah, it's always tough to tell. I was here last year. It's a great spot, good course, hot, everything like that. But just in general, all I'm seeing is on Thursday morning, it looks like possible heavy rain from 8 to about lunchtime. So I'm not sure how that would work. They'll play through it, I'm assuming. But then do you have lift clean in place? Like I just, again, too early probably to tell. It's Wednesday morning, but I think that for now it's something to look at. I just don't see anything else other than that. And the temperatures aren't crazy. On Friday afternoon, they do pick up and get a little bit hotter. 93, that's pretty hot.
Yeah, I mean 81's pretty hot. And that's what's going to be in the morning.
Yeah, and the mornings do start out cold. I mean, that's the other thing with the rain coming in on Thursday.
It's going to be 70.
68 to 75.
That is not cold.
No, I'm saying in the difference of the afternoon gets to 90. For the mornings, 68 to 70. It's definitely difference that they're going to be playing in. And then on Friday, it's the same thing, 75 to 80. Then the afternoon goes to 95, pretty much standard across the board. I don't care about that as much. I'm saying definitely it mattered. Like I think last week you saw it. It was 2 weeks ago, I guess, at the 3M Open when I was there. The guys in the morning, not as solid as the ones in the afternoon.
The opposite.
The opposite. But because it was getting up to like 101 in the afternoon when I was in Minnesota there. So
Did you find it really muggy in Minnesota?
insanely muggy. Like I got off the airplane and I was almost melting. We got out there waiting just for the Uber and I was like, holy shit, this is nuts. Like they told me it was going to be hot. This was pretty humid.
Yeah, it was like that in June when I was there too. And then they finally had some like lightning storm for 20 minutes and it broke everything up and it was like completely fine.
Yeah.
After that, did you enjoy your experience?
Oh, absolutely did. Loved it.
DraftKings put on a good event.
Good event. I went with my guy Todd. I was the +1. He shipped the tournament, Millie up top.
Oh, really?
And the automatic
I didn't know
TOCC.
that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was nuts. I was nursing the knee injury, and I was like, I was telling him, like, I can't walk as many holes with you. He wants to go out and sweat it and walk everything. But on Sunday, the difference maker for him was Adam Svensson. Canadian guy. I was like 5%. He's we got to go walk with him. Let's just do the back 9. I was like, okay, I can do that. It's a little cooler in the morning.
You should have applied for handicap status and got a cart. Everyone gets a cart. Didn't you see the Wyndham Championship? People were just cruising around on carts.
Yeah, we were okay. I felt like I could make it through this, but then Svensson does his job. He shoots a 4-under round, and we get to watch it through at the back. And he's like, looking at me, he's like, well, if Finau does anything, it's over. And that's really what it came down to. So sure enough, he talks me into the back 9 with Finau. I got him to dice up a few holes. Like, let's go to the scoring holes only, but there's like 4 or 5 of those. But we just watched Finau miss every single putt. And he's looking at me, he's like, no, gotta have faith. And then on 18, he gets it out to the fairway and the big water shot. It's basically that's going to decide. Like if he goes in the water 1 or 2 times here, it's going to be bad for my guy. And he's like, just hit the green. And it was like he was going for it, and it just hit the back and rolled up onto the back of the green. He still 3-putt from there and made par. But the 1 under bogey-free round was enough to get the job done, and he shipped it for $1 million and an automatic Tournament of Champions seat, which I was told will be in Key West for the conference championships.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe they need to send Pat Mayo to go cover that.
I know I'm going.
I would go to Key West in the middle of January.
Plus one, baby.
I can go see, I'm a big fan of the real world Key West with Sir Jonathan Bananas, his season back in 2003.
Yep. I've been there. I went there for the King of the Beach in 2017.
It was in Key West?
It was in Key West. I got third. It was an incredible experience. That place is awesome.
Where do you fly into, Miami? Or is there an airport there?
So what we did is different because I went with a buddy and we flew in. It was after the hurricane out there. So we flew into Miami, went to an NBA game, rented a car, and then drove down through it so you could kind of see everything that had happened and went on. So I don't know what the exact setup would be, but that's how we did it.
If it is a bit soggy in the morning, would you want the guys going out right away, like showdown or first round leader wise?
Yeah, definitely like that. I mean, it would likely be, like you said, again, we'll have to wait and see, but you'd have to assume it looks like a decent enough amount of rain that then it would probably be lift, clean in place, a little bit cooler temperatures than the afternoon where it's not too cold, but it's just right where you kind of set it up, and then you get the softer conditions, fresh greens, everything like that. I would assume that would be the best play for me.
Who is going out the earliest that we like? Spawn has like the last tee time for a first round leader.
I think
so that's not great.
Is Davis Riley,
Dietrich,
and somebody else.
And Taylor Montgomery, Mac Hughes, Hoagie
nice.
first round leader, with lift, clean in place in play. Just go fire at some pins, Tom Hoagie. He might shoot 8 over, but
yeah, I don't hate it. I think that's what you're looking for is like guys like that. Again, you're also talking for first round leader, what you're mentioning right now, or showdown or something. You're looking for the spike rounds. That's more likely what he's going to give you. Like he can go 66, 66, 75. We're hoping it's the 60, but he needs lower than that here. I'm just saying, like I would expect something like that would be a good way to go about it. Who else is out early?
Also out early, Mac Hughes is out early. JT Poston, Hadwin, Patrick Rogers, Thigala is out early. So is Lee Hodges.
JT posting a number, that's a good one, I think.
Yeah, but his odds are like terrible.
Yeah, probably not getting good odds. I'm just saying if I could definitely see JT posting like -6, done. Like it just happens. That's what he does. So I could definitely see that. Lee Hodges, maybe the spike round and then falls off. I highly doubt he's going to win again, but just to point out, like I think that would be interesting. And then
I think I'm going to ride with Tom Hoagie.
I like the Hoagie call. What's his odds?
I don't know.
No, I thought you had him. Yeah, that's why
I don't have them up in front of me.
You're like JT Poston's, but his odds suck.
I know what his outright. I don't know what.
Yeah,
Hoagie's
you know it's going to
outright
convert
odds are.
over. I got you. Yeah.
But unless you're at the very top of the board, your numbers always get crunched on a first round leader versus what they are. So I would guess that Poston's probably like 45, 50 to 1 first round leader, where I'm guessing that Hoagie's probably.
I can't even find it for some reason.
Finishing round position, end of round leader. Where are we at here? JJ Spawn 75 to 1 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Should have bet it there. Hoagie is 80 to 1.
Like it.
Whereas Poston is
35 to 1.
Let's see. Poston. Show me a lot of JT Poston. He's all over this. He's 55 to 1.
Yeah, not the worst, but I like the Hoagie call.
I mean, he's the same as Thigala. I mean, Thigala's 60. I think I'd rather take Thigala as a first round leader of guys going out. I know he can go low.
Yeah. It's just the problem is if you were playing a birdies prop, he'd be great. The problem of going low is he might make 7 birdies with 6 bogeys and be the same. And that's why he's a good showdown play. That's why if you have a birdies prop on some of these other sites, that's perfect. But for something like that, it's possible, definitely. And the odds are okay. I like it for the odds. But yeah, I like your Hoagie call. I like Poston at that number. He's not the worst. I would look at those two.
We need a winner in the one and done, or we are done to try to make the money.
I think we are done, but we still need a winner.
We are not done. I mean, we can't win, but like to get into the money.
Oh, yeah, we can make some cash still. Yeah, definitely.
Do you know who the best player we have available is?
Who is it?
Jason Day. Jason Day, Brian Harmon, Russell Henley, Straka, your boy Ben Ann, Corey Connors.
Ugh, times are so tough.
The glove. Should have used the glove last week. That would have been.
It would have been solid.
You bet Ben Ann? You want to use Ben Ann?
No.
Okay.
Not really. I don't even love that bet anymore. I just like that the value on it right now that it dropped. So
Corey Connors?
I could do some Connors. Let's go Canadian.
Canadian Corey Connors or Russell Henley?
I think I like Connors better, man.
All right. Connors it is. Not been good at this course. Just like Max Homa.
Yeah. I don't care about that as much. Let's just go with our guy. He can hit the fairway, ball strike it up, Let's go Corey Connors. I like it.
Max Homa has played this tournament 6 times. He played it as a WGC. He's played it as a playoff event. He played it as the St. Jude Classic against a bunch of Billy Horschel and a bunch of scrubs, basically. He's never finished better than T41.
And that's the thing, though, because guess what? Max Homa also had similar numbers to those in majors and now finally popped his cherry and got a top 10 at the Open. So now can he pop this one and get a good finish here?
Maybe.
That's the narrative, Pat.
Is that the narrative you want to play?
That's the one I want to make up, yeah, just because I do want to play him. So over long term and stuff, I've got him just as good as some of those guys that he's around. And then obviously that range is loaded, so you can mix it up there, but I see him somewhere in the 10 to 12% range right now.
Well, let's get into DraftKings and try to figure this out, build some lineups, talk about some ownership. Again, playing the Listeners League. That link is down in the description. The NFL Week 1 Listeners League, also available. Go play in that. Sub to runthesims.com as well to get all of your optimizers, your simulations that you can completely customize, betting and DFS. But, I mean, the Showdown Simulator is the key product on the site. It is far and away the best one going. Use code Mayo. Get 10% off. Get, like, the test out for the year. See how you do. I've won the past 2 years with Run the Sims. I need football to come back because I actually won playing football last year.
Yeah, I'm excited for that beyond the FedEx conversation up top, but definitely just excited for football as well, starting in September.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a strategy show soon.
Yes, we are. We're going to talk shows. We're going to do some shows.
Yeah, we're going to do some shows. We'll see how it goes. What is going to be the most popular lineup, do you think? Or at least, let's take players out of the mix for a minute. What do you think the most popular build is going to be this week?
Stars and Scrubs.
For sure?
Looks like it. Yeah, ownership would say that everybody in the mid-tier is all like that 15% or less range, and the guys up top, you're seeing some of them 69. It's going to be spread out, but you're still seeing it. Like, it's really easy to get to Scotty or to Rory because twofold. One, you've got plays in the 6K range that people actually like, Andrew Putnam, and then you also have guys in the 6K range that are legit dudes. This is 70 of the best FedEx Cup standings, guys, whether you believe it or not, and wonder how guys like Mackenzie Hughes and Matthew Neesmith and all those guys, people make fun of how they get in from the start of the season and their swing seasons finishes and all that. Sure, but you're allowed to go play it too if you want. Like if you're worried about that, go play those events. It's how people want to treat their schedule, and that's fine. So the point is, Pat, there's guys down here at the bottom that you can definitely get behind. Like Lee Hodges just won. He's $6,500. It's a no-cut event. He gets 4 rounds guaranteed. You definitely are going to see Stars and Scrubs heavy. And then, some people will go a little bit different and go like a start with Xander or a start with Hatton, but I just don't see that being as popular when you've got Rahm, Rory, and Scheffler right up top.
So here's the chalk from $7,100 and down. And I'm getting this from fantasynational.com, real-time ownership projections based on the new information we get when people are generating lineups, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get full access to that. Griot going to be popular at $7,100. Below that, Rye and Harris English will generate some buzz. Not a ton, but some buzz. More than like Hadwin, for example, who no one is using. Eric Cole, Alex Smalley, and Svensson all project to be pretty popular. I would say probably around double digits. Maybe one of them gets more, one of them gets less. But those are the names that are popping up from that range. Then you have Putnam, who you mentioned, who is probably for sure going to be double digits.
I have him 10 to 12.
So, because Hodges, Putnam, and Shank seem to be the 3 getting all the oxygen below 6,800.
Yeah, I would agree. I was just looking for Hodges 6,500, right? So he is, he's right there behind Putnam for me. And then
Shank is the other one.
Yeah, I've got Shank with some there, but Shank is squeezed between those two, and I think people just lean on them. Like, definitely Putnam right there takes away from Shank somewhat, and then you have Hodges right above. Spawn gets late steam all the time, so I think Spawn could get a little love down here. And then I think you called it with Rye, English, and Emiliano Grillo. So looks like that for me.
So of all of those guys we just mentioned, who's the one that you actually like?
Spawn.
Spawn? I mean, but Spawn's not going to break 5%.
I got him over that still, and he gets late steam, but I still like him.
Okay.
Rye's fine at 7K.
What about Putnam?
Yeah, Putnam's fine. It's just, again, you got to be thinking about how you're playing him, because I think it's going to be pretty popular. Once someone goes Spawn, they go right up to the top.
Yeah, so let's try to build that one. Let's go Putnam. Putnam, $6,400. Do you think people will pair Putnam up with another 6K guy?
It's tough to say. It's very possible because it's very doable. But I was just going back to look at some of the guys. That's the problem. The 7K range, I just don't see. The 7K range, I thought would get more love than it did. Some of the same guys are still getting love, but it doesn't seem like enough for me. So maybe I got to look at my numbers a little bit and adjust. But I thought you would see guys like Connors and Yager, Poston, Siwoo get more love because they always do, but maybe it's just because, again, the product of how you're setting things up right now, it doesn't look like it. So let's go. Who do you think is, like, how do you think this sets up in the 8K range? Because if you go Putnam, I think people like Sam Burns. I think people like Wyndham Clark. I think they like Colin Morikawa, Fleetwood, all those guys, and they're in the 9K. But just to say it, feels like that's kind of the build, right? Like,
I mean, that could be the build. 3 of the 9K guys, which, I mean, everyone, the people that are not garnering, I mean, everyone's basically, Spieth isn't getting a ton of love, Day isn't getting a ton of love, Homa, Finau, Fitzpatrick. Like, those are, and it's not like it's 70-man field. They're going to be at least 8% owned apiece, but they're not going to be 25% or 17% like a lot of the other guys are going to be this week. I think if people go to Putnam, they're just instantly clicking Scheffler.
That's what I was just going to say. Let's do it that way.
And that leaves you with $7,900 for your final 4 players. So if you did want to go back down to the 6K range with one of the other popular guys, and it doesn't need to be the low 6Ks, you could end up with, let's see here. I did say Shank was going to be relatively popular. Hodges. Let's say Lee Hodges.
All right,
there's no reason for Lee Hodges not to be popular this week, right?
Right. Let's go with Hodges.
So we'll go with Hodges. He's super cheap. And now we have $8,300 for our final spots, which means if you throw in Griot, who's 71, who is projected to be very popular, we're now up to $9,000 for 2 guys. So
who do you think is the 8K guy, though, that people play? I think it's Burns.
If you go
Burns, Harmon, someone like that.
If you go Burns at 81, I mean, Cantlay is one of the few slipping through the cracks this week, it looks like.
No, it is Burns, Cantlay.
It's Burns, Cantlay.
Or Harmon, Fowler. I would suspect more people play Burns, Cantlay.
I think more people will play Wyndham Clark and Tommy Fleetwood.
Let's see. Does that fit?
Oh, yeah. With money left over, too. You could get Griot up to... Yeah, there's no one there is the thing. There's no one until you get to Straka.
I guess
maybe that's the move, because Straka's going to be pretty popular. You could go Straka, Xander, Straka, Hovland.
I don't think those two are popular. I think it would be what you just said. Windy, Tommy Fleetwood, and then it would probably be Grillo up to Poston.
Of the bottom guys of the 8s, I'm just trying to look at the numbers.
These project well too, so it's definitely
so
popular
Burns,
build.
Tom Kim is at the upper 7s. But yeah, it really does seem like it's Burns. Burns and Clark seem to be the 2 chalk plays in the 8K range.
So let me take out Tommy for a second and go back to Burns. That left 8,400.
I mean,
oh, here you go.
It's Hatton, Wyndham Clark is the answer.
Well, this build might be unique then because it has no 9s and no 7s. But if that same build you just said, if I go Putnam, Lee Hodges, and Scheffler, you can close it out with Burns, Wyndham Clark, and Brian Harmon, who all project as the highest owned 8K guys.
Okay.
So I just think, again, I don't know if it'll be unique overall, but because it has no 10K, no 9K, and no 7K, that's actually an interesting build because I'm not sure how many people will land on all of them. It does have a little bit higher ownership overall, but still, it depends on where people land, or you could swap out 1 or 2 of those spots. But what was your final version that you just had with
Scheffler, Hatton, Burns, Griot, Putnam, Hodges.
And Griot? Yeah, I see it.
Leaves $100 on the table.
Leaves $100. Yep. Yeah, that one's fine too.
You could turn Hatton into Cantlay if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what it was because we had Cantlay there before, but you're right, Hatton. So, okay. Yeah, I could see that one too. Like I said, that one's probably the more common type build. What I'm, lost at is that, again, like I said, when I go back and look to start the week, like Connors, Denny, Benny Ann,
no one will
Siwoo, Yager.
No one can ever play Denny again. He sucked last week. Remember?
Yeah, I was expecting him to be the flop leg guy in there that maybe could come back from that, but I'm just curious what that build looks like if you just pick like 2 of those guys. So Benny for sure, and then who's the other 7K guy that you would like in there? Would it be Connors?
I mean, I kind of shit on Homa because he's never really done anything at this tournament, but I actually think that on paper Keegan Bradley rates out excellently, and he's going to be like 6% owned.
Yeah, I was gonna talk to you about building that the Ryder Cup build, the Ryder Cup narrative build.
So how about this lineup?
What do we got?
And it doesn't even need to be him. Can I get to? Nah, I can't quite get to Rom. That sucks. One sec. Let me rejig this for a sec. So there's 2 versions of this lineup you can play. Rom, Wyndham, Clark as your first 2 players.
Okay.
Keegan, Benan, Denny, and Connors.
Let me see how this one projects out. Rom.
So no 9s, no 6s.
Rom, Wyndham, Benny Ann,
Denny,
Denny Connors,
Keegan Bradley.
I think this is unique for sure. Like from a strategy perspective, what people are doing, like you're on 11, 8, and all 7s, and it projects okay, and it comes in a little lower ownership, so I don't hate that. What was the one I was just going to tell you about? This is another build I think will be popular. Was
it 3 9s?
No, it had the 8K guys in it. I was just trying to find it here. Scheffler, Harmon.
Oh, it has Scheffler in it?
Oh, yeah. So this build also, and it doesn't project as well as the one you just said, but if you go Scheffler, and then you go Burns and Harmon, you can go Benny Ann, Connors, and Putnam. So another way that people can use Putnam there with Scheffler, I think, ends up like that. So it's not as unique. I'm just saying, like, I could see that being the build, too. It's the 2 8K guys, the 2 7K guys, and a 6 gets you up to the top.
Of the 10K guys, do you have a preference of any one or two of them over the other 3?
I like Scotty. Oh, 10K guys, sorry? Or like above?
10 and, like, from Scotty to Xander.
Yeah, so for me, it's Scotty and Rahm.
Scotty and Rahm over Hovland. I think I like Rahm and Hovland the best. My numbers would tell you that Schauffele is like the best play, but I think
like,
they always say that.
My 3, and I talked about this yesterday with Hoop, was Scotty and Rahm, and then X was right behind him.
All right, so how do we build a Scotty Rahm lineup?
I don't think you do, but you could. You can.
Let's see. Spawn, Putnam.
So this is interesting. We'll build it, and then I'll talk through a strategy piece here.
And we're still at $6,900. Jesus. Hoagie.
Yeah.
All right, we're up to 7,500 for our last guy. Denny, Benan, Glover, Siwoo,
Let's
Jaeger.
go Benan. I mean, who cares?
Yeah, so these lineups suck.
Well, this is what I want to talk about. It's actually a good strategy piece. You said we're going to do a strategy show soon for NFL. Like, this is all awesome stuff. You know, this is what I love to talk about. But this is what, okay, so this is the equivalent, Pat, of in Showdown, when people have this punt play, like, oh, the Isaiah Likely, the backup tight end for the Ravens, I'm going to use him in the captain tonight. Well, everyone's on to him now. They know what he did in preseason. They play him. He goes in the captain slot. Guess what people fill it out with? The exact same lineup, the exact same variations. You end up on the exact same shit as everybody else. Now you've hurt yourself. Now it's an even worse play than you think. Just because you can fit everything doesn't make it good, because when it hits, you're in such little room to move with leverage factor. And that's what happens here. When you go Scotty Rahm, who everyone thinks are the best 2 up top right now, again, maybe that's a case to make for Rory or Hovland or whatever you want to do with that information. But when you plug in Putnam and now you land in the same zone, yes, maybe your Hoagie spawn is different than everybody else. But
Yeah,
you're giving yourself you need all these things to happen. You need like a shootout.
And then you're playing a 1v1 of Tom
Or a
Hoagie
2v2
versus
of this.
Lee
That's
Hodges.
why this is a bad build. It doesn't matter even if you get in with unique lineups somehow with this, it's a bad build because of that. You need the shootout between Scheffler and Rahm, which, by the way, the top dogs have not done well here any of the years, the last 4 years. When it was a WGC, when it was in the top guys just don't do well here in those years. And then on top of it, after that shootout, you need to hammer down this parlay of 3 6K guys and Benny and Chalk to hit using this build. Again, people, you can switch it up 1 or 2 spots yourself. I'm just saying you're not really giving yourself anything interesting here. I think it's actually more interesting to go the other way. And you brought it up, Pat, but like, what if you liked Hatton over Cantlay in that spot?
Yeah.
I think starting your lineup with Hatton. Imagine Hatton's your first guy in and build what that looks like.
The problem is that worth the trade-off that you're gonna eventually end up in the 7K range, be it the mid 7s or low 7s. Is the trade-off between the mid 7s and mid 6s worth it to start with Hatton versus? I mean, I like Hatton. I'm good with doing it, but is the difference between, let's say, Hovland and Hatton, which is what, $700, the same as the difference between, let's say, Steven Jaeger and JJ Spawn or Matt Kuchar? Or
I think the play is that, again, you're arguing, like what you're arguing is not you specifically, but people would be asking this and people talk about this, is you're giving up win equity because you're not playing a Scotty, a Rory, a Rahm, a Hovland, an X, whatever. Like I just said, the history will tell you those guys have not won here. Like that's not who wins here. It's these other guys. And an example, Pat, would be just quickly, Hatton, Fleetwood, Morikawa.
that's it burns.
Well, I went Morikawa, Spieth, Putnam, Hodges. You have the same Putnam, Hodges, but you have 4 9K guys that all have win equity. You can't tell me like if Spieth wins this, you're surprised? No. Fleetwood, probably because he never wins, but man, like he's due to win something. Hatton, what's Hatton? Ricky Fowler without the win. He's played very good in all these top events.
I wrote him
done
up.
The same thing. He's solid.
I wrote him up this week. I mean, he and Fleetwood both fit the trend line. And listen, trends aren't predictive, but it just continues to happen this year on tour. Like the guys that are super close to winning, they're just winning at some point. So Hatton and Fleetwood are the 2 closest to that. Hatton's played 15 events on the PGA Tour this year. He's come top 6. He has 7 top 6 finishes in those 15 events, and he's only finished outside the top 24 times.
Yeah.
He's just been great all year.
Yeah, I'm with you on him. I agree with all that. I said that's why I compared him to the Ricky thing, because I said it's like the same Day did it. Like all these guys did it.
Glover just did it.
Hatton doesn't win, they'll say that. But again, you can make this case for a lot of guys. Surprisingly, it's actually, so like just some to rattle them off. Xander, and he's top dog, 10K. I'm just saying, like, he's only $300 more than, or $500 more than Hatton. He's been the same way all season. Morikawa blew one win and then has a bunch of other top finishes rounding into form a little bit. Of course, it could set up well for him, but people say he hasn't won and doesn't win. The guy's a winner. He can win. Fleetwood.
Yeah, he's won 2 majors, not a winner.
Right. Well, again, because people, it's only, what have you done for me lately? You suck if you haven't done shit lately. Like, that's how it works. But Fleetwood, we can make fun of him that, he still holds that tag of the F in Fleetwood stands for fraud. Ricky's broken out of it with Fowler. Finau's broken out of it with Finau. Who cares what the events are that they win? They got the job done. But listen to this one. You just said the Burns thing, and it made me think of this. You can now go Hatton, Morikawa, Fleetwood. Guess what? Fleetwood doesn't need a win when you've got Hatton, Morikawa jammed in there. You still get Sam Burns. You get your guy Keegan Bradley, and you land on Putnam. If you don't want Keegan Bradley, you could play a guy that actually wins over Putnam.
I pick Kitayama.
Yeah, you could play Lee Hodges, a guy that just won a PGA tournament, and get to Corey Connors or Thigala as well. Like, again, these are the types of builds I'm saying that, again, are you leaving win equity on the table? No one even knows, on top of the fact that the history says no.
You said there's no cut in this event, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm good with playing Kitayama.
Yeah, me too. What's his price, actually?
6,400 at 1% ownership?
Yeah, that's...
Versus Lee Hodges at
also
12%. Kitayama sucks every week unless he's awesome.
Isn't there a... Why do people talk about API here? Some. Like, I thought that someone was making that comp this week, and it was kind of intriguing for something. I can't remember what it was, but Hatton, by the way, API specialist. So we got Hatton and Kitayama in this lineup now.
API, that's interesting.
I'd have to go look it back up. I think it's definitely one of the articles that I put in the tidbits that I brought out.
I mean, that would make sense just because, I mean, whenever you get there's the most water balls at any tournament at this tournament.
Yes.
You find water everywhere.
Since 2003, I think. It's like...
Yeah. So PGA National has a lot of water balls, but it's not the same as Bay Hill. Like, Bay Hill is a long course that you have to go after. You have to use driver everywhere. Not to say that you don't at PGA National, but you can lay back. A lot of the water balls are on par 3s, where I think this one off the tee more aligns with Bay Hill than it does with PGA National. It's like Sawgrass. Sawgrass, you're going in the water everywhere,
right,
but you don't have to use driver at Sawgrass. You do have to use driver here, would be my contention with that.
Kitayama, baby.
Let me look. Past 24 rounds. Average just at TPC Southwind. Let's see here. Straka, I guess there's the Honda comp.
Yes.
Straka, Harris English, Tom Kim, Thigala, Denny, Lee Hodges. It's pretty good. These are the best players at this course per round in strokes gained. I just rattled off. Then it's Rory and Hideki and Burns.
I'm just trying to look at this year. So interestingly enough, like this year's Kitayama won, obviously at the API, got the job done. Big elevated event for him.
Over Scotty, over Rory.
But
over Harris English.
Some of the guys usually, again, Hatton in the mix because he does well there. Thigala pops again, and you've mentioned him a couple times now, and he popped in that. You just said his name again. So Thigala is interesting. When I see something like that, that kind of stands out for me a little bit. Davis Riley was up the board this time around.
That was in 4 rounds for Thigala. Davis Riley had an amazing Saturday, I want to say, or he was like 65 on Saturday or Sunday. That's how he got himself back into it.
And then I don't see like too many others that we've mentioned or talked about. What did we bring up Jason Day for? Oh, he's the best guy we had left. Nothing special. But he actually popped at that tournament, so it's kind of...
Well, he was popping until he won. I mean, I guess he popped at the Open Championship as well. But before that, like, he won the Byron Nelson. He's like, good enough for me. I'm taking the year off.
Like this lineup, Pat, you go Hatton, Morikawa, Fleetwood, Sam Burns, Thigala, Kitayama. That's got firepower for a no-cut event. I mean, with scoring, with ceiling scores. Like, these guys can put up numbers, and some of the stuff matches up. It doesn't all have to match up. I'm saying you could make a case that could be sort of up the leaderboard on Sunday, and then you need to get the winner out of it. But that's where all the win equity goes away. If it ends up being a Burns win or a Morikawa win or something like that to cap off the regular season leading in, now we're in the playoffs, the first round, where these guys get the job done now as a, here's the Morikawa storyline. He choked away the lead at the start of the season.
And wins the FedEx Cup.
But he wins the first FedEx Cup event. Maybe he goes all the way because you get the 2,000 points. By the way, that's the other gripe. We're not going to spend time on this, but just to say it, like, because the variance now goes up. Like it's 2,000 points instead of 500, and whoever wins the first event is now vaulted to like a hot chance to win all the money. Like I don't like that either.
See, I actually do like that.
They need to do something, but I don't like
because
that.
it puts emphasis on being good in the playoff events.
Yeah, it does.
Like you get your spot, and like if you are near the very top because you played well all year, you're basically guaranteed. Basically, everyone inside the top 15 right now is guaranteed to play in the Tour Championship.
Yeah, I guess it makes sense.
So
it does make sense.
It gives 15 guys a chance.
I don't necessarily love it because of how it shakes out. And again, the only reason I say it, your point is right and correct. I agree. But that's what ends up, that's another reason that pisses people off or why they don't give a shit at the end. Because like, okay, now this guy's like a lock to be top 5. He's already in East Lake. It's done. Like he's there. Takes a spot away from this. If it's someone else, it's like cool story, but do we really care? No.
Do we have the best no-cut players? Is that something I can look up? I don't think we can. Oh yeah, no-cut. Cut type. There we go. Thanks, Fantasy National.
What do we got?
Didn't even know that was the thing. Let's look at past 24 rounds no-cut events.
Why don't you look up longer for this?
Why?
Because I think it's way more important.
All right, 75 rounds?
Yeah, like give me something. Yes.
Okay.
Like who actually crushes these events with real rounds? Let's talk about that.
Average. Well, a lot of like Scotty Scheffler only has 44 rounds total in no-cut events.
Let's go. So Scotty.
Well, no, he wasn't the leader. He was just.
Oh, I thought you were saying that. Sorry,
he doesn't have 75 rounds of data.
I'm just excited for this build. Go ahead. I want to talk about this one. This is the
well, it's going to be tough to fit in. Rory, Rahm, Schauffele, Hatton, Matsuyama.
So Hideki. Start with the value. By the way, one note on Hideki, because we probably aren't going to spend time on him or whatever we're doing here, but my point is, last week, we called it on the round 2 showdown show. We rounded out, by the way, the showdown shows for the season, not for the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's showdown. We'll have content on the site at Ship It Nation, but it's no point for these shows for these small fields. But like we called Hideki mailing it in. That's what he did on the last. If he's not in it, he doesn't care. So everyone's gonna be like, oh, he sucks. He hasn't shown form. All that. It was also, if you go look at his stats last week, it was like 2 bad holes that caused this. I actually think Hideki is interesting this week at 8,400, where it doesn't seem like anyone's going to go there with all the other options around him.
Yeah, it does seem strange that 10% potentially he'll be like just behind Harman. I think.
I think Harman gets a little boost there, but yeah, you're right. Like let's say 7 to 10 on Hideki, that'd be awesome. 10 or 11, whatever, fair.
I just find it surprising that like Thigala, I legit had projected under 3%.
Hopefully that stays. I mean, he can definitely score in bunches. He's another guy too that will outscore his finishing position.
Well, like especially in a no-cut event.
That's what I'm saying. You get the Thigala 31st, and you're like, it's not really what I wanted. But at that price, it's pretty fair. He's middle of the pack pricing, middle of the pack finish. But what if he's the top 20 scorer on the week? That's solid. Then you're happy about that.
That's a big if and but what's probably going to happen? It's like, he outscored his T69 because he was 54th in scoring.
Oh yeah, you're putting him way down the board. I feel like he popped more. So after the studs you said and Hideki, where does that list go with some value plays?
Cantlay.
Okay.
Not a value. Sam Burns is after that. Thomas Dietrich in 4 rounds only at $6,900. Patrick Rogers in 12 rounds.
I'll take Rogers there only because he's actually been doing shit lately. At the 3M Open, he missed a 5-foot birdie on the last for all 4 under 70, shot a 9 under, I remember correctly. So before that, he'd been in a playoff and lost to Akshay. So I mean, like this guy is something that he can do something. He's fine. That's
my biggest grievance of the FedEx Cup playoffs, that Akshay's not in them.
That's sad. But it's also on him. Like, why did you WD an event where he could have played an extra event to get in?
Well, I think that he thought that he was in because all the rumors were that he wasn't. Also, I fucked up bigly on the Monday show. I was looking at like the wrong schedule for next year, I think.
Okay.
Because people pointed that out. I guess the Players is still a cut event.
Yeah, they changed it around too, where it was like, didn't they pull back on 4 events?
Yeah.
Of the 14 or something?
I guess I looked at an older version of what it was, and I was like outraged.
Well, it also just came out too, like it's fine, but like the swing season this year is only, I believe, 8 events. Maybe that's what it always is. It just feels like they were more spaced out, and with Ryder Cup and everything, it just felt like you got more time off for some reason during NFL kicking off. And then, the new schedule just came out and got to look at it a little harder myself.
Other than that, Sam Ryder at 6,000, that's only 8 rounds. Aaron Rye and Bo Hostler, both with 12 rounds apiece, and this is average scoring. So this will probably work itself out better. So long term, we found the guys at the very top that were good consistently in no-cut events. If we take a look at the past 12 rounds, to kind of even everyone out with all the players in the field.
While you're pulling that, can I just give the quick lineup?
Let's hear it.
This is interesting, actually. So Rahm, Cantlay, then you go skip the other guys in the 9K, and you go down to Hideki, Burns, Rogers, Ryder. That's a firepower lineup, Pat.
It's pretty good, actually.
It projects only 5 points less than the best one that we made so far. Surprisingly.
Well, and if no
Or sorry, it actually doesn't. It's like 15, but it's 5 less than the one that we made that we thought was good.
Okay.
So it's not bad.
So if we go to past 12 rounds,
All right.
Cantlay, Rory, Rahm, Fitzpatrick are your top 4.
Okay, so Fitzy.
Then
He's 8,600 versus those guys are very expensive. So we'll
you,
start.
you could even start Cantlay Fitz if you wanted to.
Yeah, let's do that. Now, who's some of the guys below?
Hovland and Xander,
Okay.
Sungjae and Burns, then Hatton. Hatton keeps popping up on all these.
Hatton's pretty. You bet him at 27, right?
Then Dietrich's there as well.
So let's just try this Dietrich play
Yeah,
for a second.
Dietrich and Patrick Rogers both remain up where they are, as does Sam Ryder. But again, they had the limited round, so that's not penalizing them at all. Corey Connors, Rye, Hostler, Mac Hughes at $6,000.
It's weird build.
Hoagie.
Yeah, I'm trying to see because like Fitzpatrick can't start. One sec, let me get Sungjae out of there.
mean,
Who was the other good guy besides Rogers down there? You said Dietrich again,
Yeah. Dietrich 6,900.
and then who was the guy up top? Did Xander pop at all?
Oh yeah, Xander and Hovland both pop in these.
Ooh, this one's interesting. Then you can come in over the top on that Cantlay Fitz start and go Xander Cantlay, the two best friends, with Fitzpatrick, Burns. Wow, actually kind of like this build, Pat. And then it's Dietrich Rogers. But interestingly enough, when you look at it from roster construction standpoint, nobody over Schauffele, so you don't have any of the 11K and up with the 3 big dogs. Nobody in the 7K range at all. So you go 10, 9, 8, 8, 6, 6. And it leaves $100 on the table, and it actually projects 1 point better than the last lineup that we just made with Ryder and felt like more risk. Dietrich, obviously a wild card, but who did you say at 7K? Did you say Aaron Rye?
I did say Aaron Rye.
So if you wanted to spruce this one up, and now it's only 1 point worse than the lineup that we thought was good.
You go to Dietrich to Rye.
Dietrich to Rye. So it becomes Xander, Cantlay, Fitz, Burns, Rye, Rogers. And you're off the Putnam chalk there by going to Rogers. Not sure how popular Rye will get. He always gets late love, and he does project well on site, so maybe he gets some. But how many people are going to just do the Cantlay? How many people are going to start X Cantlay Fitz?
None. Us.
Us, like this stupid lineup?
Few people watching the show right
Us
now.
trying to talk ourselves into this lineup. I think that's probably it.
Hey, listen, I do think that you really hit on this. That, I mean, game theory is big each week, but in the FedEx Cup playoffs especially, it becomes even more important, I think.
Yeah, well, I wonder this too, because again, like going, I guess at least for last year, and it did carry over for whatever reason to the WGC years. But like I said, the guys at the top don't have this crazy history here. You could pull it and look like Rahm, go look up like Rahm, Scheffler, Rory. You don't have to pull it. I know it. You can go look it up. It's not solid, but you also have to wonder, Pat, too. Again, if they're in it, are they here to win? Yes, of course. I'd never say that. My point is, if they're not in it, does it like how like they're already in? They're through. They're 1, 2, 3 in the FedEx Cup standings. It's not the end of the world if they don't win this. So then it can be start working on stuff for the next time out. Like if they're not going to win this event, they move on to trying to win the BMW in their heads. Like that's just what ends up happening. But meanwhile, the Cantlays, the X's, the Fitzpatricks, guys like that. And Fitzpatrick, by the way, a really good history here. The 3 of the 4 times he's played, and even the 4th time wasn't horrible, but 3 of the others are top 7s. I believe it's like a 7th, 5th, and 5th or something. So I don't know, like maybe something about this place that you could link to him. But just in general, I don't think this lineup type would be very popular, and it still projects well at much lower ownership than some of the other stuff we were looking at.
Looking at the hottest players in the field coming in over the past 6 weeks. So that includes the Barbasol, the Genesis, the Open, the John Deere. So a lot of the top players haven't been playing. But we've seen this over time, that guys with good form coming in have continued to parlay that through a little bit. Poston, Glover, and Rory, Harmon, Straka, Todd, Tom Kim, Jagger, Griot, Cam Young, Svensson, Lee Hodges, Nick Hardy. Nick Hardy's your guy. I'm surprised you weren't like, just don't play Putnam, play Nick Hardy.
He's fine too. There's all those guys down there. I'm trying to find what you just said. Who was the 8K guys you said in that range, or the high 7s? Did you say like Keegan or Connors? Or
No,
how
it was
high?
Harmon, because obviously he won a major. Straka, Tom Kim, Cam Young.
What about Sungjae? He's hot. Coming in with 220 top 24s in his last 3.
Oh man, stop the presses.
Stop the presses.
Where does he rate out? He's at 11. He's like middle of the pack. He's same as Hoagie.
And Rory was the big dog, right?
Yeah.
Rory and Glover. Maybe I'll get. No, Poston looks pretty solid too. It just lands.
I mean, could you fill out a lineup of the top 3? Rory, Poston, Glover, and Harmon, Straka? Does that fit?
Yeah, you can fit Straka or Tom Kim, your preference.
I mean, I prefer Tom Kim, but that's me.
Okay. Yep, projects 5 less than the one we just made.
Those are the 6 hottest players over the per strokes gained total over the past 6 weeks.
And that actually have some stuff that would make sense. Like Straka lost in the playoff to Will Zalatoris, the Honda comp you mentioned, like things like that. You can make up stories for any of them. I'm saying Tom Kim, I actually don't even know if his ankle was ever injured. Like, did he just fake it? And I was like, oh shit, now I'm playing good. And he's like, I guess I have to keep limping. Like, I have no idea, but he seems fine. I know he WD'd the Wyndham.
Do you think it was a long con to get out of the Wyndham?
I don't know, man. Like, he's defending champ. You think he'd want to go back and defend like that to me?
He's like, I already won it. Who cares?
He's fine. I need to win different, unique events. I don't want to dupe my wins.
Yeah.
All right, maybe
he's not a dupe,
He's
bro.
a don't dupe me, bro, is what you could say. Yeah, maybe. But, okay, I want to build this lineup. I'm not sure if you're done, but I definitely want to build this lineup. Okay. Ryder Cup. So it's Keegan, Burns, Cam Young. Who else is on the fence trying to... Oh, Finau. And then, where's Homa rank? He's outside.
Homa's one spot outside, but he's on the team. The answer is Burns.
So like Keegan, Burns, Young, Finau are not locks for this team. I don't care what anybody tells me. Like they're just not.
I think of the guys that are currently qualified, it's Ricky, Spieth, and Homa are probably on the team.
Yes, I agree. And the only reason I said that, well, you can make your case for any of them, and Finau probably should be on the team. But
Finau's not going to be on the team.
You don't think so?
Unless he does something here in the playoffs.
Well, that's the thing.
They will take JT over him.
I believe that. So for some reason, people don't believe this. I just think it's a massive boys club, and JT
is in it.
And guess what? He's boys with the ultimate boy of golf, the man, the myth, the legend, the GOAT, Tiger Woods. And I don't care what anybody says how that works. That's just life, politics, business. I don't care what you'll tell me. It matters. It does, and it's going to be. And also, his rounds are like sporadic and erratic, if you will, where it's like that works fine for what he does. He has the camaraderie with the team. He's played well with the teammates, with Spieth. He can play with Ricky. Like he can do a bunch of things.
Chances Bryson ends up on that team?
None.
I think. I mean, even if he goes, I guess if he shot like 58 this weekend on Live, maybe they'd throw him on the team. I just don't see
he can win on Live this week. He's not on the team.
I think it's just gonna be Brooks.
Brooks is fine.
Yeah. Well, Brooks is qualified, and even if he somehow fell out, they would still take him.
Yes. Brooks is like legendary major thing that he just capped off to say, like, give me another when you think I'm shit now. Like this again, another guy, he sucks now. He can't win majors anymore and then goes and wins. So it's like that's the angle there. But who else could go on this team then? Is there anybody else?
Yeah, there is. With a win, I think Kitayama is a qualifier. Because he's close enough. He'd have an elevated event and he'd have a playoff event.
Oh, man. We're $200 short from Rahm, who doesn't fit the narrative, but just to say it.
Ryder Cup standings. Let's see here. Is Cantlay still on? He must be on. He could fall. If Kitayama played well, that means Cantlay would fall out.
So then it would land us on 7,500, which is, oh, baby, Denny McCarthy.
Jesus.
It's the Ryder. That's the Ryder Cup lineup. It has to be. Because Denny's not making it. I know this. You know this. Everybody knows this.
Denny would have to win. Like, there's a couple guys right now that would have to win twice in the playoffs in order to make the team.
Denny can make a case. Yes.
Yeah. Listen, no, if Denny won twice in the playoffs, I think he'd be like have enough points to be on the team.
Yeah, but I'm saying exactly that. He's probably not doing any of that, but at least he has an angle in this lineup narrative. And funny enough, this projects equal to that first one we built.
Yeah, that's funny.
So listen to this lineup. It's Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau, Cam Young, Sam Burns, Keegan Bradley, Denny McCarthy. This lineup is deadly. And there's no ownership to it. And the roster construction is awesome. 9K, no 6K, no 10K, no 11K, no nothing. Like, these are all guys just fighting for their life. Variance and volatility because of that is obviously says that this is like it's a 6-game parlay that's very likely to fail. Like, you're putting it in bad because not all these guys are likely to be able to make that case. And then it's like, holy shit, now we really have to decide. That would actually get me excited. I'm going to put this lineup in something big because I think that would get me excited to watch on Sunday. If it's like a Ryder Cup battle down the stretch of all the shitty guys that are actually really good guys if they played for Europe, but struggle to make it on the team for the Americans.
Maybe that's the move for the playoffs. You take away all the big names, almost like this one. Maybe that should be the swing season thing. I guess it's too far away.
What is it?
But you put like all the jabroni players in and be like, hey, whoever wins this is like on the Ryder Cup team.
Yeah.
That's your victory.
At least these guys have real motivation.
Yeah.
Like I said, if Rory and Rahm and Scheffler just suck day 1 or 2, they don't have to care as much as what you think. Like, they do care, I'm sure. They're going to play. They know there's 4 rounds. They're in it to win it from the very beginning. I'm saying if they fall out, they don't have to worry about anything. They're still going to make their Ryder Cup teams. They're still going to be playing next week. They're still going to be at Eastlake. Like, they really don't give a shit if they're out of it. They just move on to the next thing.
If 3 of them, let's say all 3 of those guys shoot, it's par 70, 73. on the first day, and they're all outside the top 45, whatever. I can almost guarantee you the next day, one of those guys is shooting 64 and the other two go backwards. Right. Because all they're doing is just firing at pins.
Now you're down to one. And that's, again, we're not saying, like, we know what these guys are here for. They're literally here to win every week. I don't want to make this case or sound like that. My point is, there is actual history here to say that through everything at this course, it's a high variance course because, like you said, the water, man, it's tough. And then the other stuff, you play in the heat, you play in all these other factors. And now, if they're not in it, is all I'm saying, they're not going to be needed. They may shoot 68, but that's not enough to matter. And then going into the weekend, they have one of those fallback rounds, or only two of them do that, and then you're only needing one of them to fall back. We're saying, why could this other roster construction hit and work? And by the way, like, if Stars and Scrubs heavy builds are out there, which we suspect, that makes this unique as well, and it's a good lineup, I think, for that factor.
Well, thanks, Tambo. You just told me to play everyone.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's what we always get, right? We're covering our angles, Pat. That's what we do.
Even though I think last week I did with Ben, I was like, here are the guys I am playing and here are the guys I am not playing.
Yeah, and half the time, too, people forget that. Like, we talk about this shit. I play these lineups in something. I have 21 lineups here. I'll find a 20 max. I'll probably pick this one to be the big one. Here's the finale.
Yeah.
Pick my 20 max. That's my 20. Like, oh, I thought you weren't as high on this guy. Literally, I'm playing the lineup. If you go watch the show,
we
Pat
made
and
it
I
on
built.
the show.
And I play it, and I know it's probably going to be, I'm just playing those for fun money. My other lineups, I'm going to go back and take some of the stuff. I have the content at shipitnation.com already building out what I want as my put my most money on. And when I talk about on the site, my exposure is not necessarily based on my percentage owned. I base it on what you want to know, what am I putting my real money on this week, my big money. That's what you're going to get on the site. That's the difference maker.
Shipitnation.com.
You got it. Shipitnation.com, innovation and education. More on that to come. Teaser, spoiler alert.
Is it education or edutainment?
That's what the whole site is about. Good that you brought that up. Edutainment, people don't know it's education mixed with entertainment. If you don't have that, you probably don't have a good site. But if you have good tools, you can beat it. But that's what I always talk about, bringing everything in together. Some have really good entertainment. Some have really good education, or in that case, content and tools. Some have it all, sure. But like, again, do they have it at our price point? That's why I bring it in at, and that's the key.
That's the big thing. All right, that'll do it. On the Pat Mayo experience, we're running this back one more time, right?
We are.
BMW?
Yep.
Not doing...
Mega Million next week. So I have 2 tickets already. I'm planning on getting a third.
You know what? I'll try to qualify to win one this week so I can play in it with you.
Let's go.
And we'll build my lineup on the show and I'll come dead last.
And we'll make a contest around it for NFL with all of our lineups, and I'll put money up. Next week, I'm putting big money up no matter what. So watch the show next week for sure. It's going to be based on... Sorry, I'm putting up the contest for big money that you guys know. If I hit something big with those Mega Millies, we will have a massive Pat Mayo experience contest for NFL week 1, week 2, whenever we want it, because we got the Listener League every week. But we'll make something happen, something big for a giveaway.
No Listeners League next week.
That's right.
So there we go. Maybe Tambo can win some money, and I'll enter a contest to try to get some money from Tambo. That'd be nice. Yeah. At Toetag Tambo on Twitter, you can find the Tidbits, not the Timbits, although if you want to go to Tim Hortons and get some Timbits.
Timmy's.
At Tim Hortons.
Get that sponsorship.
The thing is, I can't get the sponsorship because I fucking hate Tim Hortons. It's just on the way.
Well, good luck getting Starbucks. That's not going to happen.
I would like to get Starbucks.
I know you'd love it, but I haven't seen many Starbucks sponsorships.
I would just be on here and be like, yo, just eat egg bites every single day for breakfast. You will be good to go. Low cal, high protein. Feel great the rest of the day. Starbucks, code Mayo. Get yourself a discount. Maybe. If you're watching, Starbucks, figure it out. Listeners League now open. Now 350 spots left in real time as we go through this. FantasyNational.com/Mayo for NFL tools. Run thesims.com code Mayo. Get you 10% off. And season-long projections are completely free that you can customize and make your own rankings up there right now. Highly suggest that you go do that. And all the regular tools in season are all premium, so you got to pay for it. Sorry. I'm not sorry. Just give me the money, all right? Code Mayo. You just don't give me as much money then, all right? See how that goes. Anyway, thank you for watching. We will see you next week on the DraftKings Pick Show, and then Golf DraftKings is done until the new year. So thanks for being around all year. We'll give it one last go, and remember to leave those comments in the comment section. I'll see you next time.
Mayo experience! Experience!